Okay, we have the inch-and-a-half plastic K530 series diaphragm valve that we're going to take apart, put back together. A little rebuild. What we'll have, we have the O-rings, so you'll have two kits. You have the diaphragm and seal kit, which includes the diaphragm and all the seals, the rubber seals, all the O-rings. This one has, this type of valve has dual O-rings inside and outside, so it's redundancy so you don't get leakage. They have built into the valve a port, which you might be able to see. It's a small port here. That's basically a telltale port. So if there's water leakage, you'll be able to tell, because if one of those seals gives way, one of these upper seals gives way inside or outside, you'll get water passing by and you'll be able to tell that there's a problem with your seals.
Where does that water go? Where is it you see it?
You'll see it in the telltale hole. Okay, the port on the valve. So if any water is passing by one of the, say, the bottom O-ring, it will come out the seal, come out the O-ring, the port, telltale port, which will then come out of the valve, and you'll have water dripping down, running out there. That gives you an indication that there's a problem internally, and it's a seal, or a scored shaft, or something like that. So as soon as you see water, just a little bit of water coming out of there, you know there's an internal problem. Otherwise you wouldn't have that. Again, the shaft retainer, these are the diaphragm retainer nuts. There's O-rings on that.
Is this probably easiest, since it's a true union valve, to do it off the system? Or what do you think?
Well, if you can, the ideal situation would be if you had, if you couldn't afford a downtime to repair the valve. Okay, because it takes a little longer than some of the other valves, because there's more seals involved and what have you, and there's special snap rings and what have you to get out. Ideal situation, if you can take the valve out of line, put another valve in its place, and keep a spare valve that you can rebuild when you need it. Not everybody can do that, but it's a good idea to have, especially if you can't afford any downtime. It's easy to take a valve out, slap a valve in, fix it on a desk or whatever, on a workbench. It can be repaired in line if you allow a few hours. Because you have to, until you're used to doing them, it can take a little time. So, do either. It's probably easier if you're working on a workbench or a desk or something like that. Okay, so now we have our seals. It's all the rubber parts. It's that kit's a K534. In this particular case, the 534 is an inch-and-a-half valve. K534 RA or RAE, which is the exact type that I'm dealing with here. Some of them are RAFN, which is a Teflon type, and high temperature Viton and stuff, that type of thing. Each kit comes with your breakdown of parts. So you can refer to this just to make sure you have everything you need and you can see what's on the inside. So now I have all my diaphragm and seals and O-rings and what have you. Back on the valve, there is one more O-ring which I didn't take off. This is the O-ring that seals the retainers from the underside of the diaphragm. And I have my plastic parts. Now, in this particular case, what we have is because I have a valve with a limit stop on it, there's two kits that are required to do this. The standard kit, the shaft is not drilled for the position indicator. When you have position indicator valves that you would have to buy, so you would have basically have two kits. If it's a standard valve, you don't need it. And basically what that does is substitute a special shaft that's drilled to accept the position indicator that's threaded into it. There's some extra parts in that kit. You have a spare shaft, position indicator, you have the spare part on the top of the valve. Some of these parts you won't need, but these are conversion kits. You do have a special top diaphragm retainer, which is drilled to accept the position indicator. When that goes together, after it's all threaded together, I'll just do it temporarily here. This is the last part that gets put on, so we have our shaft. This way, as the valve goes up and down, our shaft moves so you know it's open or closed. So in this case, we'll make this back into a position indicator valve. So from this, unless we're converting this unit over, or we want to replace all these internal parts, including the sight glass, we could take the whole thing apart and replace everything. Generally speaking, you don't have to do that, not unless you have leaking and what have you within the top cap. But by getting the parts, you have everything you need, including a new sight glass, you have a new limit stop retainer, and all the O-rings are required. In our particular application right now, I don't have to replace those because this was in a decent shape. Now I just have to put it all back together again.